Have you ever wondered how many minutes you've lived? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? But how do you find the answer? Well, there's a simple calculation process that can help you find out. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be intrigued. First, we need to understand the unit of time we are dealing with. A year typically has 365 days, except for leap years that have an additional day. Each day is made up of 24 hours, each hour consists of 60 minutes, and each minute has 60 seconds. Now, to calculate the number of days you've lived, you need to know the number of years you've lived and multiply that by the number of days in a year. For example, if you are 20 years old, you've lived approximately 7,300 days. That's not including leap years. If you want to factor in leap years, subtract 1 day for each leap year you've lived through. Output: to calculate the number of hours you've lived, take the number of days you've lived and multiply it by the number of hours in a day. Continuing with our 20-year-old example, that's about 175,200 hours. Finding out the number of minutes is just as easy. Multiply the number of hours you've lived by the number of minutes in an hour. So if you're 20 years old, you've lived for about 10.5 million minutes. And finally, to figure out how many seconds you've lived, multiply the number of minutes you've lived by the number of seconds in a minute. In our case, that's around 630 million seconds. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? To think that we've lived for millions of minutes and hundreds of millions of seconds. It gives a whole new perspective on the value of time. So, to summarize, to calculate the time you've lived, you start with the years and multiply by the number of days in a year to get the days. Multiply the days by the hours in a day to get the hours. Multiply the hours by the minutes in an hour to get the minutes. And finally, multiply the minutes by the seconds in a minute to get the seconds. Output: remember, these calculations give you an approximate number. The exact number would depend on the exact time of your birth and the current time. It's a fascinating process, isn't it? Looking at your life in terms of minutes and seconds, it's a reminder of how precious every single moment is. So go out there and make every second count. After all, time waits for no one.